In this video, I'll show you how to turn this into this. I started denting cans as a form of art in 2004, and now I'm going to teach you how to create one of my favorite designs. I am Noah Deledda, and this is the CUBE CAN Denting tutorial. For context, here is some of my official work. These pieces are ordinary aluminum cans that have been sanded and polished before being sculpted. So by definition, they are scratched, dented aluminum cans. And to maintain that simple description, all of my sculptures are formed strictly by hand without using any tools or mechanisms or anything out of the ordinary. Anyway, to get started, you will need an empty aluminum can of the tall, narrow variety. This design is four-sided, so you can use the lid features to indicate the front, back, and sides. Now begin at the front, make a dent at the top, then make a crease across it with your thumbnail. Then the same at the back, make a dent with a crease. Now repeat this on each of the sides. There should be about a 1/2 inch or 1.3 centimeters of gap in between these dents. Next, make a dent with a crease just below the peak of the others. These dents are smaller than the ones above, but we will make them bigger later. Working in increments is important to this technique, as well as working in a particular order. Now, flip to the bottom, line up to the dent below, and repeat what you did at the top. Again, line up to the next dent and repeat, continuing around the can. Then, like we did at the top, make smaller dents just below the peak of the previous ones. Now we're going to close these gaps to match these gaps. So push in at the corner, flatten the upper edge, then reinforce the crease. Next, push from the opposing corner, flatten the upper edge, and reinforce the crease. Continue all the way around until the gaps are equal. Then flip to the bottom and repeat, pushing in at the corners, flattening the upper edges, and then reinforcing the creases until all the gaps are equal. So flip again, and just below the center of the can, lining up with the dent below, make another dent and crease. Now flip and line up with the dent below and make a dent with a crease just above the center of the can. Repeat this, flipping back and forth, lining up with the remaining dents. And at this point, it should be looking like this. Now we're going to close the gaps between all of the dents. So start at the top, push into the corner, and then reinforce the crease. Then push from the other side and reinforce the other crease. The dents should now meet at a point. So repeat this, continuing all the way around. Next, close the gaps beneath. Like before, push into the corner, flatten the upper edge, and reinforce the crease. Again, push from the opposing corner, flatten the upper edge, and reinforce the other crease. Push, flatten, crease, and repeat, continuing all the way around. Now flip to the bottom and repeat the same steps, closing all of the gaps until they meet at a point. Next, close the gaps beneath. Like before, push into the corner, flatten the upper edge, and reinforce the crease. Push, flatten, crease, and repeat, continuing all the way around. Then we can move to the center of the can. Like before, push into the corner, flatten the edge, and reinforce the crease, repeating from the opposite side until you've gone all the way around. Next, flip the can and close the gaps of the last set of dents, pushing the corners and reinforcing the creases. Make sure that all of the dents now meet at a point, and you should have something that looks like this. Now we are going to form the edges of the cubes. To do this, place your thumbs on each side of this edge, sliding downwards to sharpen it. You should move past the halfway point, but you don't need to go all the way to the bottom. Now repeat this on all of the edges. Next, flip the can, place your thumbs on each side of the edge, and slide from the bottom to the top. Again, repeating this on all of the edges. This will make the cube edges nice and crispy. Now, flip the can and make a crease on the inside edge of the cube. Do this gradually, starting lightly, repeating until the crease is set deeply. Doing this will flatten the faces of the cubes. The most common question I get about this design is how I get the cube faces so flat. Well, this is how. You kind of just let them be flat. Another important aspect of this technique is that it can't be forced. You have to discover what the cylinder will allow and then work within those constraints. That's the way that you discover what is possible. And it just so happens that cubes with flat faces is one of those possibilities. The last step is to true the top and bottom of the cubes, making them horizontal. So push into the corner and press upward, then flatten the edges. This should be done gradually as you make your way around. It is best to do this a little bit at a time. Continue repeating this at every corner until the cubes are fully formed. And that is how you transform a cylinder into 2 cubes. Here are a couple of variations on this design. These have 5 sides instead of 4 and multiple levels with the rectangular format. I've developed nearly 60 different designs and they all have this possibility for variation, which is actually one of my favorite aspects of this form of art. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you can catch my next tutorial. Here is the design that I'll be teaching next. Thanks to Slop Funk Dust for the soundtrack. And if you like what I'm doing, you should definitely check out Crush Metric. That's where I've extracted some of the magic from my artwork and injected it into product design. Like my art, the goal at Crush Metric is to transform something ordinary into something that can capture the imagination. Supporting Crush Metric is a great way to support more content like this. If you're following this tutorial and you need additional assistance, feel free to reach out in the comments and I'll do my best to reply with my suggestions.